Now I don't know if that blew your ears out, but it blew my ears out. I'm going to have to turn this down a little bit. Anyway, we are back again, Al and I. And if I can find the dang volume button, I'm going to turn it down. But it's been a pain here. I guess I'll just have to... I know it's here someplace. I mean, shit, there it is. And turn that down a little bit. All right. Got the show started. This is Politics and Preppers. Had a little technical difficulty at the beginning of the day, but we got it taken care of. Hell, we're just going to jump right in. Now, we had a couple of things we were talking about right at the beginning, and I got some things to talk about. And as I said last time, we're going to stay away from the political stuff. Not completely, but we're going to drop the way down on there and try to keep more stuff for the preppers out there to learn and think about and discuss. So anyway, why don't we start it off with a funny story? Al?
Well, last week I was talking about my motion detection perimeter. I have a perimeter system around my house with motion detectors. And I had one in my backyard that kept giving me false alarms, and I've been trying to figure out what was causing it. And I have a 6-foot, privacy fence around my backyard, and directly behind the house is a park, and there is a walking track around it that goes right by my back fence. And so anyway, one of the detectors in the backyard was aimed more toward the fence, and so I finally figured out what was happening is anytime there was anybody over 6 foot tall walking by, the top of their head was bouncing up over the fence, and it was setting off the alarm.
I thought it was happening between the boards, and it was reading between the boards or something.
Yeah, it was probably catching some of that too. I don't know if it was catching that so much as, but anyway, I was sitting by the in the family room this morning, and I had left it on. I usually turn it off a lot of times during the daytime, and usually have it on at night. But anyway, I heard it going off, and I quickly looked out there, and I saw this guy. He's probably about 6'4", walking by, and it had triggered on him, and I finally said, "Oh man, that was what it was." And I've been trying to. So I'm gonna have to pull it, aim it down a little bit more pull it in a little bit so it doesn't go out so far. Probably need to pull it in where it's not even hitting the fence, so which will be fine. But before we started here, caught a little bit of news over on in Ukraine on the plane that was shot down, and it appears the Russians may have done that because even the Ukrainian government is saying that none of those pro-Russian, none of those people had the training to do something like it. And now they were announcing on the news that Russia has got a hold of that missile system and have taken it into Russia. And the United States thinks they're trying to tamper with the evidence of it. So,
yeah, well, what are they going to do? I mean, if they don't admit to it, how are we going to prove it anyway?
Well, we're not. But, the globalists is, Russia's one of the countries they want to take out.
Yeah.
So, this could turn into something, I don't know, but,
well, that's what I was hearing from the beginning, that it was the Russians that did it. But then I heard that it was like that one of the people, little groups, that they're having problems with up there.
Well, they were saying it also, I was hearing it first, they were saying that they had captured some of this, some of the separatists had captured some of this equipment, but I don't, it doesn't matter. A sophisticated system like that, you can steal it all day long, but that don't mean you know how to use it. There's got to be passwords for getting into it. There's all kind of, you got to be trained on using that. You're just not going to, you're not going to steal a weapon system like that and use it.
No, not right away. You have to find somebody professional
that's going to train
it. Yeah, that would know how to do that and
but
train
either the Russians trained them on how to do it, or the Russians did it. and they got caught trying to do a false flag the day before, and they might have been doing that, trying to pinning on the Ukrainian government. But I don't know. Who knows?
I don't know either. I know that that the globalists are not happy with the Russians right now.
No.
So, and I'm sure that they don't like their, one of the leaders of one country thumbing their nose at Obama because Obama's their boy. And he's pretty much laughing at Obama because Obama's an idiot when it comes to that kind of stuff, He doesn't, he's the most incompetent. I don't even know if that's the right word.
That's a pretty good word to use.
That's not really the word I was looking for, but, if you were going to be hired for a job, you would expect to have some kind of training for that job. And he's not trained to do anything up there.
No,
all he's ever do is voted here, president.
You can get the dumbest moron there is and put him in the presidency, and they probably would do a better job.
Yeah. But that's all they've got, and he just does what he's told anyway. So.
Yeah.
And they give him a little pat on the back. Here, you can go over here and get a little pet project here. Or go write a presidential order or something, or keep yourself happy. Yeah, I hadn't really paid too much attention to that. I mean, the plane being shot down because, it's going to be what it's going to be. And I figured the first few days we're not going to really know shit about it. And all the news places are going to be throwing everything they can think of, every story they can think of, maybe, anything that sounds like it could possibly right, they're going to throw that up there. And have their experts on there going, well, it could be this and it could be that. And then turns out none of them know shit. Well, tell you what. The other day, I was over on YouTube, and I go through YouTube and see who's doing what over there, and I got a few people that I follow, and ran across this guy. I don't follow him, but I ran across this guy, and he calls himself Jimmy Rants. And he was doing the video I saw. He was talking about, the preppers are going to die, because, you can't just have a small group of, say, 10 people, husband and wife, kids, grandparents, and parents, and all that, because most of y'all aren't going to be prepared have the right training anyway, and most of those people are either going to be too young, too old, or just not trained, so you're not going to have much of a fighting force, and you're all going to die because the next bigger group's going to come in and take everything you got. And so I used one of my other YouTube names and went over there and I said something, just to be a little controversial, I said something about, well, you're not going to be one of the ones because everybody knows who you are, and people that know you are going to take you out right in the fucking very beginning because they're not going to put up with you going stealing shit from anybody. Well, I used one of my other names over there because I was trying to get a conversation started with him, and if I pissed him off too much, I didn't want him to know who I really was. Anyway, I came back and I said something about I didn't really, because he defended himself, and I said I didn't really think you were, just trying to get a conversation started. And anyway, I jumped that back onto my other one that I normally use for bug out stuff and prepping stuff, and I got a conversation started with him. Anyway, make a long story short, he came up with one that was talking about have some compassion for all these people coming across the border right now. And he was talking about the kids. And I'm going, dude, do you not realize that a lot of them aren't kids? 18, 19, 20, something is not kids. And because he thinks the way he's talking like they're all kids, and they're not. But, you have compassion when you take care of these people. Well, it's a contrived situation in the first place because that Obama and his people probably have people down there working undercover telling them to do that, and probably have all kinds of advertisements down there.
They are.
Here, come this way.
They're running commercials down there.
Yeah. No, we're gonna accept you. We're gonna, and when you have trains of people just filled with these people going all the way through Mexico. Now, if they get off that train in Mexico, they get a bunch of shit from Mexico because it's already set up. They can get on that train in the south, they go all the way through Mexico and come in the United States. It's already prearranged.
Right.
All right. And compassion, there is a place that you have to say, no, we can't take care of thousands of people a day coming in across the border that don't work, can't work, won't work for years. And it's already costing us hundreds of dollars a day per person.
No, it's costing as much as $1,000.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that a bit, that it was up that high,
That's the government saying that, and if they, whatever their quote is probably 3 or 4 times higher.
Well, they were trying to, I don't know if they ever did it, but there was a fairly nice resort down in South Texas someplace that I heard about that they were trying to rent the whole thing and move all these people through there and keep them there for about 15 days. And that place is expensive. It's not a cheap resort.
And actually, one of those non-existent FEMA camps they've started using, so they've had to admit that the head of FEMA camp. Yeah.
And I didn't answer him back. I've been answering a lot of this stuff back, commenting back and forth on some of the other stuff he did. But I didn't do that one because I didn't want to answer him when I was upset with him. Because I get upset with people that don't see it, that can't see it. I mean, because he seems to be fairly intelligent, and he sees a lot of these things, and he's got he's got a mind that can figure stuff out. And he's not seeing this. I'm going, either he's not seeing it on purpose, or he just isn't paying enough attention to it to see it. Maybe he ran across a story that was all these kids were coming across, and he has no idea of anything behind it. He just thinks it's the regular bullshit that the left-wing liberals put out there, that they're just coming to get away. They need help.
Mm-hmm.
And hell, some of the left-wing media is even blaming on us. It's all our fault.
Right.
It's all our fault because we do drugs up here. Well, some of us do, some of us don't. And most of us don't. But it's still not our damn fault because people do drugs, because people do drugs all over the damn world. And a lot of reasons some of those countries down there are falling apart isn't because of the drugs. It's because of the governments are being taken over. They're not stable. People decide they're going to vote for socialism, and then they find out they don't have socialism. They've got one guy up there running the whole damn show.
Well, I would say I would interject that the bulk of the drug users are probably liberal anyway, because liberalism is a mental disorder, and you got to be a little off to use drugs. So.
Yeah, if it feels good, it must be good, and that's what their mindset is. You don't have to think about it. As long as it feels good, then then it must be. And if you don't believe in us and you don't agree with us, then you're prejudiced and you're a terrible person. It just kind of irritates me. That's why I had to say something on the show tonight. Cause, I don't think we need to stay on it very long because there's not a damn thing we can do about it. But if people would realize the story behind how and why this is going on, they can't get it one way, they're going to get another. And that's what Obama said all along. If I can't get it one way, I'll get it another.
Yeah. Clower and Pivens.
Yeah.
This is part of the plan.
It's for the kids. No, it's not. It's for the left-wing liberal nutcases to get power and keep power. Because they know these kids will come over here, they'll grow up, and they'll grow up on Social Security, welfare, and everybody, when we'll be taking care of them, so when they grow up, they won't think they need to take care of themselves, and they'll be a bunch of lazy bastards like the rest of the liberals. Do I sound worked up?
Yeah.
And then they'll grow up accusing us of being prejudiced too, and then we're not. We want you to be all you can be. Get out, work hard, do what you can do, and make yourself feel good while you're, and achieve something. Don't sit on the freaking couch being a lazy shit and think that everybody else has got something wrong with them when it's you.
Yeah.
I'm taking a hit off my e-cig. There's no drugs in it.
Yeah, I think this this whole thing is meant to bankrupt cities, which it's already started doing.
Well, they know the bulk of it's going to come through Texas, and they want to tear up Texas because Texas is one of the last bastions of some kind of reasonable thought.
Well, now Rick Perry, I did see an interview with him Friday. It was on YouTube. I just happened to catch it. He was on the Glenn Beck show, which is on the Blaze now, and he's saying that they are going to shut down the border in Texas if the government doesn't do it.
I don't believe one word of it.
I don't believe it. I believe it when I see it.
This is Perry. He's a liar.
Yeah, I know. Because, they announced here a couple of weeks ago that they were going to step up the border, the Department of Public Safety officers down there and capture these illegals, but they're turning them over to the Border Patrol, and the Border Patrol's doing nothing but releasing them. And that's when
they've been told to stand down and just do the paperwork to get these people in there.
Right. So when he was asked, what good was it doing to capture them and then turning them over to the Border Patrol who was going to release them, he said, well, that's what the law requires us to do. Well, screw the law, because the government's already violating the law. And I know two wrongs don't make a right, but we're talking...
If the law is illegal, then you don't have to go by it.
We're talking national security here, is what we're talking about.
And that's what they're supposed to take care of. The government's supposed to take care of anyway.
That's the only thing they're supposed to be doing, is protecting the border, delivering the mail, have a standing Navy, and beyond that, it's left up to the states pretty much. And, I agree that the Border Patrol is a constitutional... the Constitution calls for it. I agree with that, but they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. I think if they don't do what they're supposed to be doing, the state should be able to call up, the National Guard, which the states have lost control of the National Guard. They've all been federalized. I think the states should take it back.
Why did they let that happen anyway?
Huh?
Why did the states let that happen anyway? I don't know.
But it's part of the government's takeover, because they take away, just usurping more and more power. I think states are to take it back, and it's like I've said before, I'll never go along with this us giving up our freedom and rights in the name of the war on terror, when I'll never believe there's a war on terror here until they seal the borders. Because if you, that's the first thing you would do. If there's truly a war on terror, the first thing you would do is seal the border.
Yeah. And there's not a war on terror, except they're calling us terrorists.
Right. As long as you don't seal that border, you'll never convince me that there's truly a war on terror. It's a war on the American people is what it is. Which, goes back to 1933, Trading with an Enemies Act. When, I don't know.
Oh, this is one of the reasons I don't want to do a whole lot of politics on the show, because I get kind of worked up.
Yeah.
And, we've done the political crap, so let's go on with something else now. I don't know if I sent you this message a while back, because I usually don't send you emails, but have you seen the Tracking Point AR Series Precision Guided Firearm?
I've heard about it.
It is cool. But it's around the $9,000-$10,000 range.
Yeah.
Go watch a video on that thing sometime, because it'll do all the calculations for you, and when you're moving your gun and whatever's out there is on the move, you just moving your gun, following it, and when you hit the right spot, it'll pull the trigger for you. Or you can pull the trigger yourself. When you get to the right spot, your crosshair, and it'll tell you that you're on the right spot, and you pull the trigger.
What caliber is that?
I don't know if there was any specification on different calibers. I don't know if you can get more than one caliber or not. But it was an AR platform.
Is it a full? I mean, are you buying the whole gun, or are you just?
Yeah, it's a whole gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a modified. It's not taking the AR and then adding a couple things to it and making it. No, it's the whole thing.
Right.
But it was pretty impressive what you could do with that thing. It would calculate all the crap for you and tell you when to pull the trigger or do it for you either way. I was went out to send out emails to everybody in the group, and one of them emailed back, "Hey, we got to pitch in and buy one of these." Which, of course, I don't even know if they're selling them to the public yet. All I know about it is there were some places that you could go try one, and that's all I heard.
Yeah.
And which is, that's to build up interest in it. Using the public to, make it difficult to get one, or you can't get one yet, and well, if you go to so and so, you can go try it, and then they'll come back and say, "Oh, that was great," keep that. And for certain situations, I guess it'll be all right. But overall, I think it'd be a big waste of money. So, unless you're a prepper with a shitload of money, I wouldn't be worried about it. Just keep doing what you've been doing.
Yeah.
Get normal weapons, normal ammo, and another thing too is the more high tech something is, if it breaks, you can't fix it because you don't have the technology.
No, it's kind of hard to do the one is none, two is one when you're talking $10,000.
Yeah. Or three is better. Here's 30,000. I want 3 of those.
Yeah. Yeah, really. Now, I've been looking at the laser tripwire.
You saw that, huh?
Where'd you see that? Oh, you saw that too?
I've seen it a long time ago. It's been out there for a while.
Well, you can make it yourself even, for around $10. Using little mirrors and stuff, you can create a whole perimeter using, like for a campsite or something. The other thing I saw that it's for people that's really on the budget, is you can get those little alarms at the dollar store, and using fishing line, you can set tripwires up. Have the alarm at your tent and, run lines out and then go around a full perimeter. And I was watching a video and one guy was saying he recommended putting it up about 3 feet off the ground so that way if animals run through, they won't trigger it. But, it's the little magnetic thing that, you pull the little magnet off and the alarm goes off.
Mm-hmm.
Get them for $1 a piece.
We used to have fun with that because when I worked for, and this has been a long time ago, when I worked for a TV shop. It's been a long time since people actually had TV shops that did repair work.
Yep.
And anyway, I was in high school, my last 2 years of high school. And then I worked at another one for another year after it. Anyway, the first one, he also did alarm systems. And that was we had a lot of that where you had a magnet and somebody pulled something open, there you go. Your contact. And we would take those and go out to West Texas and do all kinds of fun things with that. Trip wires and big loud noises and all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with those things back then. And you could practice with fireworks because you could get fireworks almost any time back then, even when they were not really open.
Right.
You could find some places that would sell them to you still.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody was, I was thinking of some ideas in using that. You could get those the nails that they have a little eyelet. The nails that have a little eyelet. You could put them in, hammer them into trees and run your line through that.
Yeah.
Or you could use like those metal tent stakes where you could stick them in the ground and run them through that. But
they got little screws that have eyelets on them. You could just screw them in.
Yeah, like the old in the old days, the old screen doors, you know, with the hook. Yeah, could you use those things? Just screw them into a tree and run your little wire through there. Or
well, I got a while back. This has been several years ago. Back before prepping was cool. Back when they called it survivalist. At some store back then, I think it was Sipples. They had a sale. And they had these drawers full of all kinds of stuff. And it was it was a little container with little drawers in it, plastic drawers. And there was about a dozen of them, maybe 18 or so on there. And they had all kinds of little knickknacks in there, which was all kinds of different fasteners. There were different kinds of nails, different kinds of, like those little eyelet things I was talking about.
Right.
For those, and some different things for hanging pictures with, and little rolls of cable, just all kinds of stuff. And I said, you know something? Booby traps. There's all kinds of good stuff in there for booby traps.
Oh, yeah.
So I bought it, and I still have it.
You think you'd want to use about a 200-pound fishing line for something like that? Because you'd want to make sure it didn't necessarily break.
Well, really, 200 pounds. You're not trying to pull the thing you're trying to pull it apart from. Depending on how you have it set up, like if you're just trying to pull a pin out of. No,
I'm talking about running it. If you set it up where it runs a whole perimeter around, around your campsite, where you run the line out straight out from you, and then go through, one of those eyelets to your left, and then toward the back, and then around the back, and all the way around, so that at any point in there they hit that line. You wouldn't want the line to break.
Well, here's how I do it. All right, 200-pound is awfully thick stuff.
Yeah, it's true.
And then if you got monofilament, it stretches like hell too.
You don't want anything to stretch.
Right. So you're going to want some of the other fishing line, like the braided stuff. And then I think you're talking about 200 pounds. I don't know how big it is, but I don't think more than about 50 or 75 would take, more than that.
Yeah. Now, because it's going to have pretty smooth pull on it. You just don't want it to stretch.
Yeah.
And
well, even with even if you weren't worried about the stretch, for one thing, the other reason for stretch is because you're gonna have it out there for a while, and as it keeps that pressure on there, it's gonna stretch a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And if it's hot, it's gonna stretch even more.
Yeah.
And it's gonna start sagging, and then you're just you're losing a lot of it. It may end up on the ground.
Well,
or so much stretch that it really doesn't. They feel it. They walk through it. They feel it stop, but it doesn't pull out enough slack to make any noise or to set off your alarm.
Right. What about a little wire?
Wire. You can do wire.
Thin wire that may not. It probably would stretch as easily.
You could do that, but I think I would stick with the braided fishing line.
Yeah.
I think you could have a lot more of it for a lot cheaper price. And it's easy to get. It's not, stuff's not that expensive when you consider one spool of that stuff is probably going to be all you ever need.
Oh yeah.
And you can fish with it too.
Yeah. That's true.
Oh, bummers on TV. F you. Go away. All right. I was hoping it was going to be wasn't in fast enough. We had a little difficulty. I ordered a book called Mags, The People's Part of Prepping. And I've had a couple people suggest I get it. And from what I understand, a lot of it is when you're trying to put a group together, a lot of the ins and outs and things you're going to have to do and put up with to put a group together. Because I am finding that everybody that has, the people that contacted me to join them in the first place aren't that into it. They talk big. But when it comes down to getting together, oh, well, I got a barbecue that weekend. Oh, I'm doing this with the family that weekend. Oh, well, I can only make it at, 6 o'clock on Saturday morning or 6 o'clock, between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock on Sunday morning. Well, no, and the other guy, I can't make it till, it's got to have to be after 6 o'clock in the evenings. And I knew from the very beginning, I was warned from the very beginning that putting a group together takes years. But I wasn't expecting this. Hey, maybe my wife will bring me a cup of coffee. Anyway, so I'll probably have that Monday.
Now what's this book about?
It's called MAGS, the people part of prepping.
Oh, okay.
I think there's an update to it, but I wanted to get the original one because that's what the guys were telling me about, was the original one.
Well, speaking on prepping, I mean, one thing people need to do, and a lot of people don't even think about this, as we research, information, for instance, on, give you an example, like, how to purify water, how using Clorox or whatever, how much to use, whatever. And I've been doing this, and as you're researching stuff, save that into a text format. And at some point, once you get enough of it, you want to print it out and put it in a notebook, because
create your own library.
You can create your own library of information, and I've been, all this information I've been researching on solar and all this stuff, and, how to calculate, wattage and all that, just some stuff that you tend to want to, keep up with, and, recipes, cooking rice and cooking beans and stuff like that. And just
as many different recipes for those staples that you can, because if you're like me, you're gonna have a lot of it, and you need to have something to variety it up.
Yeah, and it's not hard to do. I do a lot of my research on my iPad, and I can just copy the whole page I'm reading and just throw it into text, into the note thing on there, and then at some point I just upload it all and print it all out, and I put it in a notebook, and you can organize it by different categories, food,
whatever works for them.
Yeah, whatever. Because if we, if let's say we had an EMP attack, you may be saving all this stuff, or like on your iPad, or saving it electronically. You could lose all that stuff, and put it in a notebook and get a couple copies of it even, and stash one somewhere. And
if you got a
place,
if you got a couple, maybe you got 2 locations or so.
Yeah. But a lot of people, they don't think about stuff like that, and
you can find a lot of people because it is kind of hard for a lot of people, especially people on a fairly limited budget, to have their preps at home and their preps at a bug-out location, if they're lucky enough to have a bug-out location.
Right.
Because it costs money, and it takes time to do. So, but, since my theory is you don't leave home till you have to, then I keep all that kind of information at home, books and the things that I've printed out, and keep that here. Now, I'm going to take as much of it as I can if I have to leave.
Right.
I've got, I have a box, throw them in there, and throw them in the back of the truck and go. But if you can, it doesn't really cost a whole lot more to print it out 2 times. And update your library every time you go to your bug-out location, update it.
Yeah, I use and on my iPad, I do use a program called Nest Egg, which is an app, and it allows you to track all your prep stuff, and it's real handy. And the reason I use it is when I'm looking for stuff, I can kind of keep an eye on what I have, what my inventory is. Like, for instance, on the ammunition, I can say, okay, look, I've got this many rounds of 22s, I got this many rounds of this. So, when you're out shopping, you're getting bullets. Okay, well, let's see, I've got, I'm lagging on, a certain round, and so I know I need to buy more of that round. And it also allows you to, keep track of when canned goods expire. You know, you can say, okay, I've got some canned goods that are coming up here, you know, in a couple of months going to expire. So you kind of, you know they're coming up, so you may want to use them. Or
yeah, it's time to start planning your meals around those for a little while and get rid of them.
Yeah. So it's a really good program.
I wish I was organized as you. I'm just not.
And yeah, I mean, I've got pictures of the products in there. You know, you can grab them off the internet, but I know pretty much everything I got. And every once in a while, you know, I'll go through and do an inventory just to verify it. And it allows you to have location where it's at. And yeah, I use like a bucket, and I numbered the buckets, and I consider that a location. You know, it's in bucket number, whatever. You know.
Yeah.
And so I know how many buckets of rice I've got, how many buckets of beans I've got, how much sugar I've got, how much whatever I got, and you can just keep it all in that system. So it helps you put your shopping list together as you need to buy stuff, because you can see what you already got and what you need to get.
Hey, have you thought much about baking soda, baking powder?
I have plenty of that.
Okay. A lot of people don't.
You can go to Sam's and buy those big 5-pound bags of it really cheap. And it's already sealed. And, it's like a big old, I think it's actually more than 5 pounds. It may be, it's a big old huge bag. I can't remember the size of it now, but it's already sealed in like a Mylar bag. Baking soda ain't going to go bad. So I don't think you're going to do,
Well, most people aren't used to cooking from scratch, and if you cook from scratch, you're going to need some of that stuff for some of the things you're going to want to do.
Well, there's all kinds of uses for baking soda. I mean, think about it. You can use, put a little salt with it, and you brush your teeth with it. And, baking soda and a little salt. And you want to make sure you get there's 2 types of baking soda. There's the natural, and then there's the kind that has aluminum in it or whatever. That's the kind you would stick in a refrigerator. But you can't consume that. And you can tell which one you're getting because the one you can consume has the the little food thing on there where, it's so much like the ingredients and how many calories or whatever.
Yeah.
You want the natural, the all natural. And, the aluminum stuff is more for, the one that has aluminum in it is more for cleaning and stuff, But the natural will clean as well. So, but there's a ton of things. There's a ton of uses for baking soda. There's a ton of uses for peroxide.
Yeah, but peroxide doesn't store very well.
No.
But on the other hand, it's not very expensive, so you can afford to every couple of years or so,
Yeah, I don't know what the life cycle on it is. When I buy it, what I've bought, I've never opened or leave it sealed. It's got that plastic seal around it.
Yeah, and I don't remember offhand. I don't remember how long they say the shelf life is. I just know it's not as much as a lot of the stuff that we do.
Yeah, it's real reasonable though. You can get it at the dollar store pretty cheap.
Yeast. Remember, people, we probably talked about this before on the show, but yeast, you store it in the freezer. It will extend the life out for quite a ways.
Yeah.
Because you can't store yeast for long periods of time either, out in on the shelf.
Right.
And if you want bread, you're going to need it. But you don't have to have bread. You could, have cornbread and stuff like that.
You can make flatbread. I mean,
you can flatbread, yeah.
Yeah, and that's good. You can throw beans and rice in there and wrap it up in it. You got a rice burrito,
Yeah.
In a situation where you're prepped in a prepped mode or you're in a bug out mode, that's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, bread doesn't have to be the fluffy stuff we're used to.
No, it's actually better for you not to be that fluffy stuff.
Oh, I don't remember if I asked you last time or I was thinking about asking Mike the other day when I talked to him last night and I forgot again. In your things that you've come across. Well, here, I'll just go this way. Here's why I'm asking, because a while back, there was, I think it was the guy, remember the show where they did stuff in Africa, and it was an old show that was on for years. And they'd go chase and track and do all kinds of shows about animals in Africa and stuff.
Yeah.
And it had an old man on it, and then a younger guy that was like the veterinarian of the group. But anyway, I was listening to one of the shows he did, and you may have heard this, because I think he's had him on Alex Jones, where he's talking about flour. You know, there was another one that was talking about, he was a doctor, a heart doctor, a heart surgeon, and they were at different times that I got the same information, both of them, but the doctor was saying that our flour is what is causing our arteries to be irritated, and irritated arteries gives a place for cholesterol to stick to. So it's really the flour that's causing our problems, because we used to not have this problem at the rate we do now. And so I'm thinking, did they change how they did flour?
Yeah, they bleach it and stuff.
Because I'm thinking, because my mind is wrapped around, okay, they grind it down and make it really, it's really fine. Now, is that the part that, does it break apart in your body, and is that the part, or is it something about the way we process it?
I think it's the way
I'm not thinking about it.
I think it's that white flour, it's been, I think it's bleach it or whatever they do to it, but it's been, it's processed flour. It's not in its natural state.
And I'm wondering if whole wheat flour would be better.
It might be. I do know this: if you're prepping flour and wheat and all that kind of stuff, you want to freeze for about a week before you put it in your Mylar bags or however you're going to store it for long term, because that stuff will have eggs in it. And
it'll hatch in your storage stuff.
It'll hatch in your storage container. So if you freeze it, it'll kill it. Whatever's in there. It'll kill whatever's in there, and then you don't have to worry about it. But
I had some that I didn't know about that, and I packed it away, and I haven't gone back to check it.
Yeah.
All the stuff I put in since the earlier, that was 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, any kind of grain, anything like that, you want to freeze it for about a week. And before
cornmeal, all kinds of stuff to put.
Yeah, all that stuff. You want to freeze it, because it's going to have it in it. If you just buy it in a bag, it's likely to have it in it, and you just don't want to take that chance, because you come back later after you need when you need it and open whatever the container is, and it's full of bugs.
Yeah, not going to be much help. Of course, you could eat the bugs too, but they taste terrible.
No.
From what I understand, they're kind of bitter.
Probably are. But
yeah, that was one of the mistakes I made along the way. I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah, I've learned a long time ago, no matter what you're prepping, go look at some YouTube videos on it, and don't just look at one. Look at multiples, and because that one guy.
Some people will be full of shit, and other people really know what they're talking about. And
exactly.
Some people won't have the whole story in it.
Exactly. And
when you start researching stuff, you just can't go look at one person and say, okay, I know what I'm talking about now. No, you got to go research. Yeah. Research multiple places, multiple people to come up with the answers that you're gonna need, and hopefully you will get the answers by doing multiple research. Yeah,
that's like I was looking at on salt. Like sugar, for instance, you don't want to put oxidant absorbers in there with it.
Right.
It'll make it rock hard.
You can always break it back up, but it's not a good thing.
You can break it up, but it just makes it just rock hard. And but yeah, you always got to research. Always got to look at multiple sources for your information.
Well, Fox is making a really big deal out of that missile thing. Since we've been on, that's all they've talked about.
Well, there's been breaking news on it a while ago. It hit a while ago that they found out Russia had taken missile system back into Russia, and they're afraid they're tampering with it. And it's becoming more and more evident that Russia was more involved in it than they thought they were.
Yeah, I wonder what the thing was behind that.
I mean, the Ukrainian government is saying their enemy couldn't have done it.
Yeah.
You know, they said they don't have anybody well trained enough to do that, and so anyway, it's kind of pointing toward the Russians more and more. Which the scary part of that is we know that,
or somebody that wants to think Russia did.
Yeah, well, we know the globalists want Russia to take it out.
I just can't see why Russia would have done it.
Well,
there's not. What good reason would it be?
They shot down a Korean plane.
Yeah, they did. That's true. That was quite a while back, but still, no reason for it.
Back when Reagan was in there.
Yeah. And I don't know if that was. If I remember the story, some of them tried to act like it was a mistake. It was mistaken identity. They didn't know it was They thought it was a military plane, but I don't know. I just don't. I mean, when I see crap like this going on, I don't take the news people for what they think they got going. I got to go, man, what's behind this? Why could this be going on? Because I don't trust any of them anymore, to tell you the truth. Not even Fox.
Right. No, the thing about the thing that I've noticed here recently, I mean, we don't get all the news here. You watch the European news. For instance, over there, that war over in the Eastern Europe, those wars over, we're not hearing half of what's going on.
Oh, hell no.
Those wars are a whole lot worse than what we're hearing.
And it makes you wonder why they don't talk about it.
Now, I watch Fox News in the morning while I'm getting dressed and stuff, and I mean, it's getting to the point where it's more human interest stuff than any news. They just touch briefly on news, and they spend majority of their time, on some stupid, human interest stories. This dog that watches TV, or something.
Yeah.
Goofy stuff. But so what's the latest preps you're doing?
Well, I haven't done shit. Not lately. I need to get back down there and pick up some more food, but I haven't done that.
Yeah, I need to do that. I hadn't had a chance. My wife just had dental surgery, and I've been kind of babysitting her more than anything. And I've got there's a Costco. The one I go to don't have beans. They got rice but no beans. And I'm going to.
You should have a Sam's card because they got both.
Well, no, there's a Costco that's a little further away that has beans. So, but I just hadn't had a chance to get over there. But I think I'm going to try. My next little experiment is to try to use just oxygen absorbers with these buckets that Home Depot's got these. The Home Depot by my house has these buckets that have these lids that have a real good rubber seal in there. And I think I'm going to try a test and just fill them up with rice and beans, and then throw in extra oxygen, like the 300 cc. Yeah. Throw a couple of those in there.
They'll suck in a little bit.
Make it, and see if that works. So I just hate. I mean, it's just a pain in the neck to get Mylar bags in there.
Well, I'm not doing Mylar bags anymore anyway.
What are you doing?
Basically what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then the big soda bottles?
Yeah, because, you take that bucket that has a real good seal on it, and you take a rubber mallet, and this is what I'm thinking. I'll fill that sucker all the way up, almost to the top. So, 2 or 3 of those 300 cc, you're still cheaper than the Mylar bag doing 3 of them in there, which would be, more than what you really need to throw in there. And then hammer that lid on there really good. Make sure that rubber seals real good around it. And then you should be able to see that top suck down a little bit, to know that you got a good seal.
I'm thinking, if you took a little bit of Vaseline and put on that rubber seal, so that if any of that rubber seal actually does touch air, it won't It'll help it stop from drying out even longer.
That might be a good idea. Just put the rubber, put a little Vaseline around the rim.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could go so far as put some epoxy around it.
Well, I'm just thinking Vaseline because it'll condition that stuff for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to last quite a few years anyway because you're going to have it indoors.
Right.
But I'm just thinking, something easy to go ahead and do to make it give you maybe a couple more years out of it. If it's simple, might as well.
Well, that rice will really keep, with if any air gets in there. I mean, I saw on YouTube where some guys opened up some buckets they had 10 years where they didn't do anything, and the top of it turned a little yellow, and down underneath it was still white. Yeah. So, it wasn't, and you could still eat it, They said they cooked it. They said, still okay, but
I haven't used any Mylar or the vacuum packs lately. One of the reasons I was doing that was because I wanted to have some packages that I could hand out.
Right.
In case there was some people that wanted to help, I could say, here you go. And just be able to hand out something real easy and not necessarily give them a 5-gallon bucket of anything.
Right.
Because a 5-gallon bucket of rice or a 5-gallon bucket of beans is quite a bit of food.
Yeah. It's about 30 pounds.
Yeah, and I don't know if I want to necessarily give away that much.
Right.
At one time. But I thought it'd be, a little bit easier. And for a barter situation, if you got to the point where you felt comfortable enough about bartering with somebody, then it's with, 2 to 5 pound packages of stuff, it's a lot easier to barter out.
Right.
And you could carry it with you and barter it out and come back, But I stopped doing that because, like I think we talked about last time, we found some stuff that was leaking and not staying vacuum packed. So I don't want to do that anymore, and I'm putting stuff away in more bulk now. So I'm doing the same thing you're doing, basically, is the buckets and those big soda bottles. Wash them out, let them dry out for a couple of days, and then I pour full of rice or beans and they get settled. Then I take a couple of the small oxygen absorbers, stick it in the top, and screw it down. And it sucks it in. After a couple of days, you go back and you can see it sucked in.
Yeah, it's not. I wonder if you could buy those empty anywhere. It'd be pretty cheap.
Yeah, I don't know. I hadn't bothered to look.
I mean, they're made by this, crud. You could actually use, those plastic 1-gallon water jugs.
The only reason I really picked these is because they're thicker plastic than the water jugs.
Well, that's true.
But you can still use it. I don't see why not. Plastic water jugs. And those water jugs are milk jugs, too. They're square. And they probably stack and, store a little bit easier.
Right. Milk jugs or water jugs, either way.
Yeah, either way. I mean, there's all kinds of things you do. You may be sitting around and just notice, well, dude, I got this over here. Then I get a bunch of those all the time. That'll work fine.
Yeah.
You can take, like, Gatorade. At work, we have, anytime it gets, like, 100 degrees, they start handing out Gatorade at work. I could tell a couple of guys just to save them for me.
Oh, yeah.
And put a bunch of those up. And that would be small quantities, easy to barter with,
Well, let's look at it like this. If a 5-gallon bucket will hold about 30 pounds of rice, so that would mean that a 1-gallon jug would hold about 6 pounds of rice.
6 pounds of rice is a lot of rice.
Huh?
6 pounds of rice go a long way.
Oh, yeah. I've actually got the formula for that.
I know.
Pound of rice. Yeah, I've got. That's one of the things. That's one of the things you need to know is how much rice cooks how many meals. That kind of stuff. And I've got my next project I'm going to do is, I've been doing all this battery systems and running stuff off of batteries and charging batteries with solar and all that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start looking at 12-volt stuff. you can go out to the truck stops. They have all kinds of stuff there that run on 12 volts. You know, like rice cookers or little cooking things. Coffee makers that run on 12 volt or like a little oh good grief. What do you call it? You cook beans in crock pots, like 12 volt crock pots.
Little crock pots, even if they're not the 12 volt, are a good thing to have around.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, but I didn't think about them having them in 12 volt. I think that's probably a good idea to go check and see what kind of stuff's up there to run off 12 volt.
Oh, I already know. They got lots of stuff. And they got little frying pans, all kinds of stuff run on 12 volt. And, if you got, I got tons of these 12 volt batteries, then I've been going through and, putting multiples together in parallel to increase the amp hours on them. And so, I've got plenty of that. And I'm actually putting them all in, putting like 4 batteries in a battery box, plastic battery boxes, and setting. So I've got a bunch of those, so I'm going to have about 6 or 7 of them here. I've got about 6 or 7 now, actually, and charge them up with solar, and so you can run different things, and you don't always have some hot if you ever needed it. But one of the things I've been looking at is they also have 12 volt coolers, icebox coolers at the truck stops. And I've been thinking about putting together a solar one where I've got like 4 batteries to run it, like to run it overnight. They get about 40 degrees below the ambient temperature. And so if you get a little 35 watt solar panel, which you get pretty reasonable.
I think we said something about it last week where you put medicine in there too.
Yeah. We talked about it last week. That's right. So, and you can get those for about less than $100. They're about $80 at the truck stops, and they actually work. And
well, I will warn people of this: if you find some that the price is just really cheap and it's too good to be true, it is, because it's a piece of shit.
Oh yeah.
And there are some out there on the market.
I'll tell you this much: if you go to like a Pilot truck stop or a TA or whatever, and they got them there, like the cooler, it's going to be a good one, because the truckers buy those things and they know what's good and what's not, and they're not going to carry them if they're not.
They use them a lot. If they buy that kind of stuff, they can use them a lot, and they know pretty quickly if it's a good or not. And the rest of the truck drivers know because they get told.
Yeah, one of the things they got there that works real good is it's like a lunchbox thing that heats up, and you can put a can in there, and it takes about an hour. But you can just kind of punch your little hole in the top of the can, with your can opener, just break it, and you can set that in there, and you can put 2 or 3 cans in there, and it takes about an hour, but they're hot, and it's ready to eat, and it just runs on 12 volts, and if you got some batteries, and for people, you get like a 70 amp hour battery, for about, like Costco, they got them for about about $60 something there for a 70 amp hour battery. And you can get a couple of those and charge them up with solar panels, and you can run all this kind of stuff. You can run this stuff. That way, if you ever get, you're out of power, you've got all this stuff that you can use to cook or whatever, and keep it charged up with solar panels. And I was looking the other day at some 6-volt batteries that are 225 amp hours. Have you seen those?
Not that I can remember, no.
Yeah, they're you'd have to get 2 of them, but to get 12 volts. But then you got 225 amp hours. That's a lot of hours.
Yeah, it is.
That's the equivalent of 1 amp for 225 hours. So.
But I would remind people, if you start stocking up on all these 12-volt things, you're going to have the solar power or the wind power or the generating power to charge the batteries back up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You have to keep things in focus and in contrast between, how much you got of this that you might be using, and make sure you can produce enough power to make it worth having all those things.
And another thing you want to do is test, because whatever battery system you put together, you want to test that item on there
and see how long you can use it and if it works properly. And
yeah, like I was trying these little 12-volt batteries that I have. These are the ones that have the little, they don't have the big, huge battery poles on them. They got the little plug-on type deals. And but anyway, I have a 400-watt inverter, and I'm not going to really be able to use that on these smaller batteries because of the power pull. It's the wires aren't really that heavy enough on these batteries, so I'm going to have to, for that situation, I'm going to have to use like a standard, deep cycle battery for those that have big that have the big battery post on them,
Yeah.
And but for these little 12-volt systems, they should work on those little smaller ones as long as you got enough amp hours. That's what you want to test out. Is you want to make sure that for instance, if you get that Lunchable box that takes about an hour to heat up a can, you want to make sure you've got enough amp hours there to run that thing for an hour. You don't want it to drain down too quick on you.
Yeah, because then you just wasted your time. You still got a cold meal or lukewarm.
Right, and you want to make sure you got enough power to last you throughout, a day or whatever. I mean, if you got you want to have enough energy to last you through the day.
Yeah.
And or through the night or whatever. For instance, like that little cooler thing I was talking about making. You got to make sure you got enough battery on that system to run it all night to the next day. And you probably need it to last longer than that in case you got a cloudy day and you're not generating enough power.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You got, especially if you're doing it for drugs. If you have medicine that you need to keep, and you're going to keep it that way, then you better test and make sure that you got more than just solar to go with it too.
Right.
Because you may go through a period of several days where you're not producing much out of those solar panels. And then you're in trouble with your drugs because you're going to lose them. So that's why I suggest wind power. And even if it's just a little itty-bitty generator, that doesn't use much. If you're talking about drugs and you're talking about those drugs you have to stay alive, then you better make sure you got it figured out.
Right. Or, there's, did you ever get a wind turbine?
Nope, still haven't.
Yeah,
I just cannot make up my mind on which one to get.
There's a lot of them out there. That's one of the other things I want to get pretty soon is a small one, is just start testing stuff,
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to get one from Missouri Solar and Wind, or I think that's the name of it, but I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided yet.
What size are you looking at?
I'm thinking about maybe the 650 watt or something like that.
That's the one I'm looking at too. Yeah. Because
that charge controller, I'm going to get. I think I'm going to get their charge controller too.
How much is their charge controller?
I have to go back and look. I don't remember. Yeah, but they got different variations of charge controllers too. Yeah,
I've been buying these little small battery kits that I've been putting together. Got the 4 12-volt batteries. They're most of them are 9 amp batteries, so I'm getting 36 amp hours out of it.
Yeah, well, this is going to be. I'm talking about a pretty good sized charge controller that's going to be.
Yeah, that's what I'm
saying.
Charge
a big battery bank.
Right, that's what I'm getting at. These here, I'm just buying those little. They're 100 amp hour. They're 100 watt.
Yeah, and they're inexpensive, and you can buy several of them and set up several different things with it.
I'm buying one for each of those little battery kits.
Yeah,
they're $24 a piece.
Yeah,
and because I'm putting those things all mounted together. Each one of those boxes has a 12-volt, plug on it, and I'm thinking about also doing is using those Anderson plugs or Anderson cables, setting them up where I can actually connect multiple battery boxes together to increase the amp hours. I got each one of those has about 36 amp hours, and so if we put 2 of them together, it'd give me was that 72 amp hours. So, so kind of have them where I can have a short cable I can just plug into, connect two together or three together. That's what I want to do. And, but those are going to be for just running small things, like little 12-volt devices, like my battery chargers. I got all my battery chargers. I've got them equipped where I can plug them into these, any one of those to charge up my single batteries, And I found today some CR123 batteries, they're little 3-volt batteries. And the reason I started looking for those, I was looking at the night vision stuff, thermal and infrared, and I noticed a lot of them use the little CR123A batteries. I'm thinking, well, crud, you need to be able to, have rechargeable versions of that. And so I found some on Amazon, and they're not expensive. They had a little charger unit. It was only about $8 to charge them. And I saw one where you got 10 batteries and a charger for $28.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. But I need
of course, for a lot of people, these $10 here and $20 there adds up pretty quick.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
But, that's where you just prioritize. Sometimes your priority might have 3 or 4 different things. I got $100 this week to spend, or this month to spend. And this week I'm not buying food. I'm buying some batteries. I'm buying some baking soda. I'm buying some whatever,
Right.
Maybe that budget's not going to be just for food. It's going to be, for the next 3 months, I'm going to buy these 4 things. So I have all 4 of them, but I want to start getting all 4 of them now because I really feel like I need them, and I can't decide which one I got to concentrate on. So I'm going to take all 4 of those, and every month for the next 3 months, I'm going to buy one of each of all 4 of those. That's what I've done several times. Because I'm looking at, I want this, and I can't get all I want. So here, and I can't figure out exactly which one I want first. So I'm going to buy all 4 of the damn things and eat up my whole budget.
I know. Well, that's like the rechargeable batteries. I buy at least. I've only the only 9-volt batteries I've been seeing, the rechargeable kind, is at Harbor Freight, and I've been working with those for a while, and I haven't had any problems with them. They seem to work real well, and they say they charge 1,000 times. Hopefully they do. But
hopefully you never find out.
Huh?
Hopefully you'll never find out.
Well, I know, but I buy at least it's $6.49, I think it is, for one of those, and then I buy at least 1 pack of 9-volt batteries a week and a pack of either AA or AAA, which they get 4 batteries for $6.49, and then also have those, Interloop batteries, which are supposedly the best on the market. I've got quite a few of those, but I mean, I don't think you can have too many rechargeable batteries, especially if you got devices that run on batteries, like your walkie-talkies. And that's one of the things that one of the deciding factors when I buy anything like that uses batteries. I want to. You don't want to use. I'm kind of afraid to buy anything that has, a non-standard type battery in it that comes with its own recharger.
Yeah.
I tend to want to buy stuff that uses AA's and AAA's or 9 volts.
You can have your redundancy built in a lot easier.
Huh?
You can have your redundancy built in a lot easier. If you go buy something that uses an off-standard battery from what you've got already, then to get your redundancy, you got to buy even more of them.
Right. That's exactly right. So that's one of the things I'd make a decision on. And
well, I'll tell you what, we got a late start, but I think we're already past an hour. So still didn't get to. There's 3 topics that I started with last week that I didn't get to, and I'm not going to get to them today. So we're just going to have to wait till next week.
All right.
I might give you a hint on this one to think about. All right. And I think I told you off the air last time. I don't think it was on the air. Say you got a prepper group, and say it's your property that everybody's come to, and that's your BOL. For your newbies, that's bug out location.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right, and they come. You say you've got 50 acres, and all these people come to you. They come to your place, and you're giving them a place to stay, but they're pitching in. They've been working with you, and they're got their food there, and because you probably have worked with them already and trust each other. That's why they're there. Right now, say after a while everything's calmed down, but they can't go home because of whatever happened. Their homes are gone, or that specific area is destroyed for whatever reason. For whatever reason, they can't go back. Now, what do you owe to them? Do you owe them a place to stay? Like give them a few acres to live on a permanent basis? That's what I'm talking about. That's something I wanted to kind of go into next time. Hopefully I explained that well enough for everybody to kind of figure out where I'm going with that. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay. I was hearing some funny noise in the background. All right, so I guess that's it. I'm going to save you the other topics for next week. And I'm pretty sure we got more than an hour on here. It seems like it used to have a timer on here that told us how long we were on, but I don't see it on here anymore. All right, so this is Politics and Preppers, and I will invite some of y'all, if y'all listen to this, and you have something you would like to share with people, especially if you've got a YouTube channel or a website or something, or you're working with the group, and you've learned some things that we haven't talked about here that you would like to share, or even if you're just an individual that's listening to the show and thinks he has something important and want to share it, get in touch with me. You can get in touch if you go to politicsandpreppers.com. You can use the contact there, or if you want to, just put a comment in one of the articles and tell me what you want, and because I okay the comments before they go up, so I will see it, and then I'll know what your topic is, what you want to talk about, that you want to talk to me about being on the show, and I won't put it up as a post. I mean, as a comment. I'll just keep it as a message to me. So I'm going to invite some of y'all to try that if you want to. And that's Politics and Preppers for now. Right now we're doing this on Saturday, but there's no really set schedule. And we're doing it live. But that's the end of the show for tonight. Thank you, Al.
No problem.